We are live.
And welcome to episode 28 of the podcast, How Do You Know That with Robert Hollis. We are so glad to have you with us today. And before we get things going, if you are watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and share button as well as the subscribe button so that you can subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening to us elsewhere in the podcast universe, also please like and share this with friends and help us spread the also, if you'd like to join our exclusive community, the Inner Circle, you can join us by going to roberthollis.com/join to register. And there's going to be lots of great exclusive content, and you'll be able to participate in our special breakthrough sessions that take place every Thursday to help you move to the next level. Today is episode 28 of How Do You Know That? And our topic is experience is a valuable teacher. Now, allow me to introduce our host of today's show. He is an entrepreneurial evangelist renowned for his incredible achievements. He is also known for inspiring countless of individuals around the globe with his unwavering determination and spirit. And he has also helped 67 people as of this date become millionaires. Known as a mentor, a GPS to success, and a dear friend, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Hollis.
Hey, Craig, thank you so much. You're the hostess with the mostest. And I never ever thought I'll have to go back when Craig is doing that and see what the subtitles do. It's like,
That's funny.
but Craig, I love and appreciate you so much. And I always tell people all the time, I just pray that each and every one of you one day do that. I was going to say something to you, Matt, quick before we get started. And the
Sure.
other people that are on here. When Craig does that introduction, do you guys do like I do and hold your breath while Craig is,
I've tried to do that in the past. I can't imagine like hitting those levels, and I mean, I don't think I've ever been that loud. Not that it's a bad thing. Both you guys are good at it, right? But I've
Yeah.
never even I haven't been on stage, so it's not like I don't have to project normally, right?
Well, I think it, and here's why I brought that up. As soon as, Craig told me, the title of what we're talking about, how valuable experience is. I know that Craig and I, both of us, can say without a shadow of a doubt, and I'll throw this back to Craig immediately. Have you ever, like really projected your voice? And because you didn't practice, you lost your voice.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And
Isn't
it's
that
not
crazy?
if you don't keep the instrument tuned, you know, it you feel it. And
Yeah.
even when you're not 100%, there are times, and then yeah, we need to get going. But there are times where I have like, I don't need to. I got to get through this. I got to get through this. I got to get through this. But you know what? It's because of the practice, because of the way I've used my voice over the many years. And again, practice makes permanent.
Yes.
And it if I wasn't doing what I do, I don't think I could hold it as long as I do. And I have actually, even today, I almost felt like I could go even longer. There are times where it's like, all right, how much more should I go?
I really honestly think you should go as long as you can go. And here's why. It's just a small little thing, but that little thing, like watching someone go underwater and hold their breath, it's like everyone, without you consciously thinking about it, that deal goes, okay, we're going to hold our breath. And I know that everybody that's watching goes, you know what I mean? And then you're seeing your mind's watching how long you could do it. So I think that there's this point, Craig, where when you introduce me, and I love it every time you do it, it immediately makes people go, I could go that long. You know what I mean? And then the people start dropping off like crazy. But I thought wouldn't that be neat to throw immediately to the very topic that we're talking about, is that, people would say, I wish I could sing that way. I wish I could, throw darts that way. I wish I could play pool that way. I wish I could do all the stuff that Matthew does, with the technology side. And, you sit there and you think, well, I wish I could do what Robert does, you know what I mean? And build what he's doing. And not only have we heard so many times that mastery takes about 10,000 hours. But I think that it even should be explained in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Those 10,000 hours are being done with joy, fun, enthusiasm, and excitement, knowing what they're going to achieve, what they're going to get. Because doing 10,000 hours and having the mindset, well, I guess I got to put in my 2 hours a day. This is going to fucking suck. You know what I mean? I don't think those 2 hours count. You see what I mean? In my opinion, because you're not doing it with the belief of looking forward to getting better at what you're doing. And so you hear all the 10,000 hours that people put in. And again, if you did that in an 8-hour day, that ends up being about 5 years. So when all of a sudden I say to you guys, listen, I've been sort of projecting my voice and getting excited for the future about me building an organization of helping other people earn income. And I've only done this for 37 years. And Matt and Craig's both been around me. And I'm trying to think if I've ever had a 2-hour day. See, because it's just so much in my DNA is that, I feel like I'm not, I got to continue to master what I'm doing. I still don't feel like I've mastered it. So,
but at the same time, Robert, you have done the work.
Yes.
And that's the key right there, in my opinion, is, okay, maybe not necessarily today, but you've done everything you could to lead up to today in this 37-year experience.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people, in my opinion, get the unrealistic expectations. It's like, I know this is totally off subject, but it's always in this thing where I've never seen this video in a long time. James Saunders, thank you for being a super chatter. I love you. The children will like it. I know I'm going to bring this up on the inner circle, but I'm going to say this. I don't know if you guys seen a post on social media, but all the children now have a Christmas outfit. And then what they did is they take extra money that they raise and they give a Christmas blanket to widows.
Wow.
So, and they had all their stuff. And she said one thing to me that I want to share with you guys is they want all the orphans and the children that didn't have parents to actually receive a gift by the ability to choose. So instead of here's your Christmas gift, they do 3 different colors and 3 different styles of Christmas outfits that they get. And so they allow the children to come in and they get to pick the color. They get to pick the style that they want. And they said that they just realized that gave more joy to children instead of here's your gift.
Right.
It's like, here's the gifts you get to pick. And I thought only a person raising a bunch of orphans would see the difference. And I totally get that. I can imagine if I looked under a tree and there's one gift and it's got my name on it, you know what I mean? It's like, that's a little different than multiple gifts, right? And so I want to thank every one of you that helped and participated in that. I know on one of our lives, we raised over $700. And so again, the Hollis organization matched that 2-for-1. And yeah, I sent it to her and I said, hey, listen, I don't know if you guys seen the post. I know I'm getting off track. I'll get back. But this is also experience. This is also experience, right? And she said that she has so much faith and her belief that God will use the people needed to make it come true, that she borrowed $1,500 from a close friend to make sure that they could meet the needs for all these kids. And she said, 1000% in faith. And I reached out to her and I said, where's the link? I said, I now know I need to donate. And I sent her $1,500. And then I reached out to her not knowing this, you guys. And I said, did you get our donation? She said, yes, I did. And she said, me and Matthew immediately fell down on our knees and gave God the glory. And I said, why? And she said, we borrowed $1,500. And the Hollis organization, with all you people that have given, that they went out in faith to borrow money from a friend to make sure that all these orphans got a Christmas gift and the windows got blankets. And we came in and paid the debt.
That's great. Thank you guys so much. Like,
Absolutely.
I think, as I've gotten older and stuff too, the joy of Christmas really is in the young. Not that you can't enjoy Christmas or giving as an adult, but as I've gotten older, it's like, oh, this Christmas stuff really, all my great memories of opening gifts and stuff is when I was a kid. All my best memories as an adult is like giving them, right?
Yeah.
It's like giving someone a gift. So like, I think
is that
you guys
valuable?
helping us doing that.
Is that valuable experience?
Yeah, of course. Because you learn, right? You learn what motivates you, and experience is a valuable teacher. So like, if you're motivated by giving, right? And the experience of giving teaches you, great, I need to work harder so I can give more, then isn't it a great teacher, right? So yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you, Melody, as well. I mean,
yeah, Melody.
Love you, Melody.
Appreciate you guys.
And
Melody's been given since I met her. So
yeah,
yes,
she's sorry for you guys, but it takes a lot to get into the inner circle. You know what I mean? It's like there's like 4 people that are in that. You know what I mean? Craig being one, Melody being the other, and you guys going, is there enough room for me? I'm sure there is. But yeah, going back again, there's a phrase that I heard, and I bring this up all the time. If there was a paradigm that I could help everyone break, it's not only the gift of awareness, but it's the gift of why not learn from other people's mistakes instead of your own? Right now we're getting amazing results on our YouTube channel. Thank you, Matt, so much. And we're constantly getting posts from Instagram and all these other ones. I seen one where I think one video had like 40,000 clicks on it or something. And, Craig does that. So thank you, Craig, and
thank you, Craig.
And everybody wants to know, how you get all these views. How do you give to so many people? And it's like, because that's the focus of what we do. And
right.
So,
you just change your focus, right?
You just change your focus. And so if we're trying to get really great content that can change people that are saying, I just wish someone gave a shit. And I wish that someone would document who they're helping and how they helped them, so I could just follow that treasure map. And as Melody says, the GPS to success, that there's a path that I want to follow. And I still understand that there's a lot of people that, you'll just have to ask yourself why you believe that somebody's experience isn't valuable. Why?
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling to me.
Well, I think that's one of the cool things about this subject is because we all have like our personal experience that's taught us things, and then we have the experience of others that have taught us things.
Yes.
Right. And that's a huge one, right? So like actually going out, seeking out mentors or seeking out people that can say, hey, there's a road bump here, walk around it, there's a pothole here, don't step in it. And to have that experience, I think that honestly, that is what a mentor is, right?
Yeah.
It's their experience and wisdom being passed on to you, them teaching that to you. Because you
Right.
shouldn't follow someone that doesn't have those things
And that's
and be mentored
regardless
by
of
them, right?
what industry or what you do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember last summer, I there was like a event over where I live for Chuck Jones. I don't know if any of you guys know who that
Yes.
is. So, Roadrunner, just a bunch
He's
of
the he's the
classic
original
animated
animator
Oh
for
my
the
Bugs
Warner
Bunny,
Brothers
stuff like
Looney
that.
Tunes. Yeah,
Yeah, Looney Tunes. This guy came up with a lot of those designs. He's like the Walt Disney of Warner Brothers in a sense.
absolutely.
And so when they had this whole exhibit with all of his hand drawings and everything like that. So I got to go to that and I walked through that. And man, there's something about going to an exhibit of someone that's mastered their craft and seeing their drawings when they were 20 and then seeing their drawings when they were 60, and you see that experience like in real time going through the exhibit. It's so
Right.
inspiring. Then afterwards, his son gave a whole entire talk about growing up with him and going through that experience with them and stuff like that. And that was really fascinating, right? And so it's like it's so incredible to be inspired by someone else's experience and see it in real time. And that's what's so cool about the internet too, is because you don't even have to go to an exhibit to see that. You can see, I can go listen to a song from an artist that I enjoy from when they were 22 years old, and listen to the one when they're older, right? Like I've been listening to Frank Sinatra a lot lately. Obviously, it's the holidays. I am a Frank Sinatra fan in general, but man, you listen to his music through his life, and it's pretty interesting when you finally get to the end of it, right?
Right.
So yeah, you
Right.
can learn a lot.
Well, Craig, one of the things that I know that in your experience as an entertainer, as an actor, even an MC, the hostess with the mostest, you know what I mean? It's like it's the experience that you have. You get in front of a room of people, and that switch that you click into to get
Oh
everyone
yeah.
excited and get them to go up a couple of degrees in enthusiasm and excitement. It's impressive. It really is impressive. And I think that, majority of people see when you introduce me, again, we probably have those three groups of people. One group of people don't know Craig and you've never seen him intro anybody. And then you got another group of people that watch Craig and just go, is all that really fucking necessary? Really? I mean,
They've never been to a live event then.
and we all know these people, that their freaking job, what they're paid to do is to get people off their ass, get them to move a little bit, get that in, that excitement and those endorphins up so that they can, you know, uh, be at a significant emotional event to absorb that information of the person coming out. And here's the other thing. It's also their job to come out after a person that just bombed.
Yes.
And
Clean up.
everyone's like, oh my God, can I just freaking go to lunch? And now they got this job of stepping out.
Right.
and somehow being excited after everybody else is going to sleep. And it's like, hey, I gotta get this up. I probably have seen you, Craig, talk about some of your experiences where you might had to follow somebody in a play that wasn't giving the energy or
Oh
wasn't
gosh.
or was messing up on what they were talking. They sort of lost the audience, and now, holy crap, it's your job not only to deliver your lines the way you're supposed to, but actually get the crowd back into the play.
Yeah, like get
Yeah.
it back on the rails,
Oh, you know what? It's really interesting. And Robert, just before I even comment on that, there's a phrase that I love because it applies to you and it applies to everything. Experience is a valuable teacher if you will heed its teachings.
Wow. Who said that?
I got to look it up,
All right.
Craig Jackman.
but I will.
Jackman.
Well,
There's
no,
who
it
just
wasn't
said
me.
it.
I guarantee it wasn't me. It's so true. and you learn, you keep doing it. I mean, to what you shared, Robert, is there was a play that I did many, many years ago, and I was I was the lead. It was Dracula, and in the play, Dracula Van Helsing is the lead. But the three of us, meaning the Van Helsing, the Dracula, and my other partner, who are the three leads, we could feel the energy just doing this in the room. Now
Mhm.
we've got, I think, about like 600 people in the audience that are watching us, and
Ah,
it's like, all right, guys, we have to step it up. And sure enough, we did. And it was one of the best performances for that show because we realized what was going on and we did. And even doing MC work for My Daily Choice when I had that opportunity, same thing. But it was because of using experience
yes.
and going back and forth to figure out what's going on. Yeah, I mean, in my early days, I had no idea.
Yeah,
But then
someone in your early days would go, "Oh my God, we're losing the audience. Craig, you need to go out there and do what you need to do to get the audience back." And it's like, "Well, what the hell are you asking me to do?
yeah.
I I don't know what to do. I've never done that before. You're putting a lot of pressure on me." It's like,
Yeah, and you learn to step up and to take what you have. And this is why I like to tell people when I do help them or maybe guide them, in a sense, mentor them on doing
absolutely.
things like this.
Share your wisdom and experience with them.
Yes. I like to say, look, you can say the words very easily. It can come out from here, but it needs to come out from here too, from your
Amen.
heart. When you can get it to where you bring it out, when you love what you do, which if you're, I mean, that's where experience is. Like you're
Oh,
saying again earlier, Robert, if you love what you do, then it will come out. It takes the time. You have to, again, another Robert Hollisism, master the mundane. I don't know how many times I have had to go through that to get to points where I can just get up and do it, get in front of an audience, or just talk to people.
right.
Right.
You've got to step out of the box. You've got to master the mundane, and it will get easier and easier. And that's where experience is. The more you experience, the better you become. The better you become, the more experience you'll have, and you'll eventually graduate from level to level to level to level. And
Right.
you are an amazing teacher, Robert, when it comes to that. It's a matter of getting down and doing it.
You got to embrace the suck. You really, really do.
Embrace the
Um,
suck. Yes.
Matt and Craig and I will always talk before we jump on here, and I'm not going to talk about this subject, but one of the things that the guy said is he said, aging and a lack of energy is the undying pursuit of comfort. That he said that it's just like people have a goal in life to seek comfort and more of comfort. Like, I'm not going to get out of this chair. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get out of this chair. I'm not going to go outside. You know what I mean? I'm not going to connect with other people because the person had figured out every way they possibly could to be more in the comfort zone. And so that just, he said you're doing your very best to unplug from everything in the world, and you unplugging, you now have no part in the world. And so since you're not having anything to do with moving the world forward, the world is basically figuring out how to get rid of you. And it's like, if you're not plugging into the universe and plugging into other people and plugging into nature, you know what I mean? If you really don't have anything to do to contribute to the universe, then the universe's job is to get rid of you.
Mm.
because you're dragging everyone behind. And I went, whoa, hang on, you know. And I want to
Yeah.
quickly do a shout out here to Bill. Thank you very much for being a super chatter, and Chris for being an inner circle member. So
Thanks, guys.
thank
Appreciate
you
you.
guys. Love and appreciate you. So Matt, you feed in.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, what you were saying earlier too, I think when you put yourself in a situation where you see everything is sucking too, right? You're like, okay, I got to
Right.
experience the suck. One of the interesting things about the mind is like the I get to do this, or I want to do this type of thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
And the duality of those things, and balancing your own mindset, because I think so much of it, obviously, of course, is about the mind. And just like Craig said, you have to let the experience actually teach you. You know, some people keep making the same mistake over and over again, even though experience is there,
Right.
right? They might even have awareness of it, but they still make the same decision. And I've done that myself. You know, it's like, oh, hey, this certain thing is happening, and I'm gonna go out with friends, and I'm just not gonna drink that much. And then you end up having too much fun and you drank too much. You're like, why? You wake up the next day and you're like, why did I do this again? I don't understand. What's going on? But you get wrapped up in it. And I think that that's similar with anything in life, but I think it's very important, at least it's been for me, to like very carefully analyze where I've done well and where I haven't done well, and try to learn from those things, and also learn about myself. You know, me and my wife have been having really good talks lately about, because we're getting older, right? So we're starting to have those conversations about how much of this shit do we actually really enjoy, and how much of it is like us, right? That we want to keep, that's who we are. You know, because when you're growing up, you're like, I want to do this. I want to travel the world. I want to experience this and that. And then I've noticed as we've gotten older, we're like, it'd be really nice to have a house in this spot that's comfortable and
Mhm.
Yep.
cozy, right? And it's not that you don't want to do those things, but the experience of your own life has now taught you more of who you are, the things you like and you don't like.
Right.
When I was younger, I would look at people that didn't want, you know, like we've always on and off had abundance, right? And we've always had these conversations about like, okay, it's Christmas, maybe we'll do a trip to New York as a family and stuff. And that has been an idea or a dream in our family for like as long as I can remember, and we haven't done it. And that's all because if you know the Hollis family well enough, we're cozy hermit people in a way, right? So like every time that comes up, it's like, I'd rather just have Christmas here. You know, we'd have to get on the
I'm
plane. We'd have to go
not
all the
in
way
my own
out.
bed, and we have
Right.
dogs. I mean, oh my God, so
Yeah. So
the very joy that you have of having incredible pets is now they're the first thought when you think about doing anything else.
yeah, you have to actually like leave them. And now we have two. So then it's like, okay, if we're going to travel for Christmas, now they have to be boarded. Do we want them to be boarded for Christmas? Do we want to be away from them because you don't want to just travel for a couple of days. So it
Man,
ends up,
every time we came back from California to Montana for Christmas, the thought of letting somebody else watch you is just not a thought.
right.
Mhm.
No.
we,
And
we had to bring you and Kyle with. It's like all the
to me
time.
and Hannah, we only have our fur babies, and to mom, her kids. I mean, those dogs are she loves her dogs.
Yeah.
They only come second to her kids, and then
Right.
you know, Dad, I
And
think you fit somewhere in there.
I'm way down the list. I'm way down the list.
But
Yeah.
no, you know, like I guess my point to wrap, I guess, a little bit of it together is just you can't really let the experience of your life, um you can't really look at it and learn from it and allow it to teach you if you don't take the time to stop and learn, right? And I'm a huge like advocate for this, especially lately. It's been one of the best things that I've done in the last maybe year of my life, is when I'm actually in like a diseasy spot, right? Instead of panicking, which is something I've done. I have anxiety. So like I'll panic and I'll go, I need to do this. I need to do that. Now what I do is I just sit down and I breathe and I take an inventory of it and I try to learn from what I'm thinking. Like, why do I feel this way? What would solve this? And I loved what Alex Hermosi said in this video that we were sharing the other day. I've taken this point, I've really thought about it, but it's actually easier to come for your mind to come up with the things that you'd have to do to not accomplish something than to think of the things to accomplish it.
That video was amazing, man. Some of
And I've never heard anyone say that before, and it's so true. It's like, if I want to mow the lawn today, and I know that if I sit down and start playing video games, that that's not going to happen, then I need to not play video games for that to happen.
Right.
It's easier to think of the things that would stop that from happening than to go, I need to go mow the lawn because the grass would be cut. All these motivational things, because you hope that they'd work, kind of like exercise, because it's about to be the first, right? So everyone's going to start exercising again, and it's going to whittle off because it's always like, I want to be fit. They don't think about like how great it would be to not have to be exhausted all the time, like those different types of things. So it's like, it's easier not to do. Surprise, right? So
gee, where have we heard that before?
Right.
Yeah, it's it is really, really fun to live in a Alex, I watched another video of Alex recently, and he was just saying that what experience has taught him is, he's probably going against the grain on a lot of things. And I don't know if you guys watched the video where he said, hey, listen, if you know in your heart that you're a loser, you know it, then just write down your best losing qualities. And he goes, I'm a procrastinator. I put stuff off. I quit everything that I start. I'm sort of a negative thinker. And he goes, write down your best loser qualities. And he says, you know what they are because you beat the shit out of yourself every day. So you say this stuff. I'm not good with technology. I'm not a good people person. I'm not consistent. Write down all these loser qualities.
Be careful what you say.
And he says, after you write down all these loser qualities, he goes, then sort of, if you can, just number them on the ones that you think are the biggest losing qualities. And he goes, all I'm trying to do is get you to focus on all the reasons you believe that you're a loser, because you are. You said you are. Now that you got them labeled from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, whatever they are, what's the opposite of the one that you put as number 1? What is the opposite? So if it be procrastination, it would be, I get shit done. You know what I mean? I don't procrastinate. And he goes, all you got to do is change every one of those losing qualities to just something a little bit better each and every day, and you end up being a winner. And I just went, fuck.
Whoa.
It's like, so I'm not a people person, but to be honest, I would like to be a people person. I'm sort of a loner, but I don't want to be a loner. And he says, what you do is you look at all these things that you're so good at telling yourself that you're a loser all the time. And I thought, wow, how did he come up with that experience?
Exactly.
Right.
Because if I'm a winner and I'm going to show you guys my documentation, I'm a winner. I speak on stage. I've made millions of dollars. I've helped people make millions of dollars. I'm an author. I'm in the Hall of Fame. Man, you look up winner in Wikipedia and my fucking picture's there. You know what I mean? I'm a winner. So now I share that with people that you can do it too. And what's the first thing that they say? You don't know me. You don't know me. I'm not a good person. I don't give a shit about people. I'd rather be alone. I don't want any friends. See, you're just immediately bringing out in your voices of just how big of a piece of shit loser you are. So he said, great. Now that you know that you're a piece of shit loser, write it all down.
Well, it goes back to like looking at the, like you said, even looking at all the negative things that you think, and then trying because it's easier to think that for some
Yeah.
people.
Mhm.
You know, I know that there's some narcissistic people out there where it's like the opposite. They could write down all the good things, then figure out.
Yeah, it's like
But
I'm not so procrastination would be for a narcissist, right? Is I procrastinate, but not like the other losers.
right. Yeah, it would be like I procrastinate, but you know what? I get things done faster than anybody anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
If I put my mind to it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
It's like the test stuff, right? Like some people, they get the test, they do it immediately, and then other people, they get their homework or whatever, and then they're like, I'll do this the last day, you know? Like I don't really I know myself. I know I could do it, so I'll just get to it when I get to it.
absolutely.
But who's to say that that's not experience too, you know? Like to a certain extent if you're not failing at
Well,
least.
I tell people all the time, especially when I was in school, I used to use analogy of training back in the old days where, it is pretty interesting if you could do a video of your life to show you how much of a winner you are. And, you could be the star of your own movie, but you also get to edit it. So people don't get to see the parts you don't want them to see, right?
Yeah.
But in that process, if everyone was watching you in your movie, how many times in your life has your back been against the wall where the audios would say, they're in trouble, man. They are not going to pull this off. And maybe in the background, you hear just a little bit of a music going, dun, 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 dun. And it's like, wait a minute, the test is tomorrow morning at 9:30. Yeah. And, you just got home from a nice day of partying. You know what I mean? And it's like, holy crap, that test is tomorrow morning. And you pull out the coffee and the Mountain Dew and it's time to, and it's funny how someone will usually know a few other people that are like that. We become who we hang around, right?
Sure.
And it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
no, of
Matt, hey,
course.
Craig, have you guys studied for the test tomorrow? Holy shit, that's tomorrow. Thanks for reminding me. You know what I mean? Well, why don't we all get together? Nowadays, we could do it on Zoom, but let's pound some Mountain Dew. Let's bounce some ideas off each other. And you go in and it's da-da, you pass the test, right?
Yes.
So don't we all do this where we turn around and go, I'm not going to go out and fucking party the day before the test. I know it's Saturday and Sunday and the test happened on Monday. We're not going to do that. And then
What do we do?
what do we do?
Yeah, well, like the experience can be there, but I think it really goes to show how much control you have over what you do and don't do. Because if you really thought you were as automated and things were the way that you think that they were, then you wouldn't do that, because your brain and body would go, oh, that doesn't answer the problem, right?
Mhm.
Right.
But that's not what it does. Instead, it goes, no, you deserve this. Like you need to take time off and relax. So it's interesting because you can have this duality of your mind telling your body what to do and what not to do. And that can be so based off of like bad things like we were talking about, where you can like fixate on them and figure out the positives. But on the other hand, you can have someone's brain that's like very, very relaxed. Like I would say my brain lately has been that way, where things happen and I don't or experiences happen and I really like shit that used to bother me just doesn't. I don't know if that's just
Right.
age or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's just
It
like
really is.
Again, it's experience because you've gone
Right.
through that.
Yeah.
That you've said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I
Wait a minute,
don't want
am
to
I-
experience this. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my
Am I
God.
starting to learn who I am? What the hell is this?
Oh, wow.
Well, and like we sort of brought up funny with Alex doing the teaching, is what people don't realize is what they do is they consistently how is that working? All right. roberthollis.com/free. What we have a tendency of doing is we give ourselves again unrealistic expectations. And what we do is we put all this pressure on ourselves because we feel like everything's under a time. You know, that I know this will be for another video, but you know, the more you know, the more you don't know, the more you realize that even the concept of time is pretty stupid. So what we do then is we now put unrealistic expectations on us that everything that we need to have done in our life needs to be done by this point. And what I know as I've gotten older, you know what I mean? I looked at things that I felt that I should have control over that was making me anxious. It was making me upset. It was putting me under pressure that I didn't need. And what was the result from doing all that stuff? Really bad fucking results. We are not meant to run under that kind of pressure, that kind of anxiety, us trying to control the fucking world. It's like we're putting everything, this needs to be done at this time instead of just letting it flow. And that's something we haven't talked about in a long time since that movie. We talked about being in the zone, Matt and Craig.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
forget what was the Soul? The movie
Soul.
was
Yeah.
Soul,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like that animation is just so powerful because you've seen that he was ruining his entire life because he was putting himself in situations worried about other people's expectations and opinions, including our own that we create, with a bunch of these guys in our head. And then what we do is, it's weird that probably time teaches us just to go nervous breakdown, things really out of our control happens where a spouse says, I've had it with you, I'm leaving, you're never going to see me again. You figure out ways because of the way you're not performing, you get fired from your job or the company goes out of business, and it forces you to take a reset. It forces you to take a reset. And then when you reset your life, you're going like, why was I pushing so hard? Why was I putting so much expectations on myself? Why was I so stressed out and consistently set goals that I always failed to meeting because I put myself under a lot of unnatural circumstances that made it guaranteed that I wasn't going to get the results I expected to get.
No, that's so true because like if you look at like life on the planet, whether it's plants or anything, most of those things do better when they're in the best circumstances, right?
Oh,
And when they're taken care of and cared for. So what's so interesting about what you're saying is that most people don't do that to themselves. They kind of
yeah.
like add, myself included, you
Lack
add, go
of
ahead.
experience. See, that's
Yeah.
lack of experience.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have that unrealistic expectation of when things should happen. And I love, I'm not a believer, but I love that saying anyway, like you make plans and then God laughs at your plans to a certain extent, right? What's so interesting about that is if I would have sat here and guessed what I would be doing for the rest of my life 3 years ago, it would not have been what I now know that I'll be doing for the rest of my life in the future.
Oh,
Why? Because things got invented, things changed, things moved in a different direction. I for the longest time thought to myself, if I could get that life where I could make animated movies and films, but still have the life of like a writer where I can have my office in my home, be close to my children and my family, still have all those things, but not have to disappear for 3-4 months at a time to shoot something, not counting all the rest of the pre-production and post-production and all of those things, right?
Yes.
And that never really fit for me because it stopped me. It was an active like, oh, well, I don't want to get there because the experience to get there, imagine what that's going to be like. I'll have to let go of some things that I want to be. And then invention happens. And now it looks like I will be in my 40s sitting in my office making animated things by myself.
now,
There's not that barrier no longer exists. I won't need a whole entire team to do
right,
that.
right.
So
So letting
exciting. I
go,
get it anyway.
yeah, letting go and taking off your very narrow focus on only one way that you can get this thing done and sort of relaxing, where I talk about a reset where you sort of go, like I've done numerous times. It's like, okay, I'm just not going to do marketing anymore. Fuck this. I don't need to do this. I don't want to do this. And it's in those moments where you let something go. It makes you, like, it's the phrase, let something go that you really truly love. And if it was meant to be, it's going to come back to you. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Very
you
true.
you don't really you really don't know what you want or what you want to have experiences in your life until it's not there anymore. And then when it's not there anymore and you're thinking about it all the time like a loved one, you know what I mean? It's like, son of a bitch, why didn't I be more grateful for the journey? Why wasn't I more grateful and thankful for the process of the steps going through there? Why didn't I take the time to smell the roses and look at the stars while I was going on this journey on this treasure map? You know what I mean? Because I see people destroy the treasure map as soon as they find out whatever treasure map they're on. It's like, how fucking long is it going to take me to get to the treasure? Yet you just ruin the whole fucking experience. Because
Yeah,
it's like, is the treasure going to take this long? Am I even meant to find the treasure? You know what I mean? It's like, because you're
well, there's a
spending,
lot
Or
of
is the
it's
experience the
interesting.
treasure?
yeah,
Right. Yeah, you can have there's multiple stories out there that exist of the journey being the story and
yeah,
the treasure at the end not really mattering, right? And
Mhm.
that's very, very realistic to the way that human beings live their lives. But I think we have kind of this idealistic way that we see our own lives kind of like as a movie where there's these pillars that are going to come together one by one to build the foundation that we need to then catapult us to where we're supposed to be.
right.
And it's very difficult to talk yourself into understanding that the foundation aspect of it is the fun part. And the reward at the end is actually not the most exciting part. It isn't for most people that you
Oh, yeah.
ask,
No,
right?
I recently watched not only the new Mission Impossible, but the new Raiders of the Lost Ark. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
it's in the first couple of minutes of the movie where you understand what the fucking mission is. That's revealed to you in 5 minutes.
Right.
If this is what's going to happen. And if these keys come together and, they unlock AI, I mean, it's like, there's the deal. Well, then what's the rest of the movie about? The journey of getting
The
to
journey.
it.
Right.
So Raiders of the Lost Ark, they got to figure out these problems and figure out these solutions. And you got it figured out. And then you go there and someone steals what you were going to get. And now you got to track
Not
those
another
assholes down.
obstacle.
The hero's
Right.
journey.
Yeah.
The hero's journey.
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
every experience. There's a quote here that I have. I've been waiting for you guys to kind of bring it
Please.
up. Isaac Marion says, every experience, good or bad, is a priceless collector's item.
Wow.
And when you think about it, okay, yes, every experience that you take to get to whatever that end result is that collector's item. It is that hero's journey because you have to go through and experience it
Right.
to get to that result. What was it? I think it was Sir Laurence Olivier in one of his stage performances did an incredibly masterful job, and everybody was just going crazy over it. And when they interviewed him after the show, he said he was so disappointed because he was in the moment at that time.
When
Everything
you're in the
worked.
zone, when you're really in the zone, and I've
Yes.
been blessed to be there many times,
Yes.
when you're really in the zone, you're not even consciously aware of the journey.
Absolutely.
You're so much in the fucking moment that you don't know what other people see as your journey. That is pretty fucking inspiring.
And when he was asked at the end why, he said, because I can't recreate that.
Mhm.
It's like I finally let go. And Matt said, use whatever whatever title, universe or space or force. I love how George Lucas decided to use the word force. Maybe that's more comfortable for people. But it's like, use the force, Luke. It's like, you can come up with the best computers in the world. You can come up with all the radars. You can come up with everything. And, it's like, why did you turn off the radars? Because I heard the voice.
It's something what's so really interesting about that, right? Is as we go through this whole entire process of kind of like making AI and stuff, we're learning a lot about ourselves, because one of the biggest
Forces,
issues
man.
currently with AI is that and this has gotten better and better, but it actually hallucinates. It actually comes up with things that are not true or don't exist. Now, this is an interesting thing because you train it on true real data. So why would it hallucinate things that are not real? And you ask yourself, well, if the data that it's trained off of is human data and we ourselves hallucinate, maybe it just learned how to do that from us. Maybe it's
Wow.
something that's very, very interesting, and maybe it's not even an organic thing, but maybe we just have the ability to kind of picture the most idealistic things or whatever. And I do think that motivates us a lot. Like, obviously you both are talking about being almost in those like out of body moments, right? Where like you disconnect from like whatever this is. Like, if we call this plane 1, right? You disconnect from plane 1, and then all of a sudden you're in plane 2, and you go, holy shit, like you said with Laurence Olivier, why can't I just always live in plane 2? Why do I always get knocked back to plane 1? And it's really interesting because maybe plane 1 is necessary for plane 2 to even matter.
It is.
Absolutely.
And that's something that goes back to the journey is better than the destination, because it's exactly the same as like, wow, maybe and we've said this before, but maybe all the painful, awful shit makes the best shit matter so much more. And it's more about that process of understanding that in your life than constantly beating yourself up for not being there at that end point, right? Like, you kind of can just get yourself so focused on, damn, I'm like not doing enough, or I'm not getting there as fast as I want, not realizing that what you're doing right now is actually the shit that you're really going to remember, right?
And that's part of the journey of the experience that you're
Yeah.
going to take with you to plane 2.
Plane 2, exactly. And I think plane 2 is where all that creative shit lies, right? Like, when you hear the Beatles go, I don't know, I just sat down and the music came out of me, right? I strung the chords that were meant to be there. That's the way that it was. And so when you ask someone that really dives down, and you could see videos of John Lennon even doing this, but it's like, what did this mean, or this mean, or this mean? And he's like, they're just words that we all came up with. We were all smoking weed and hanging out. And it was just some words that we came up with that rhymed together and made sense for us all and connected to who we are. And it's like, okay, that's plane 2.
In the
That's plane 2 right there.
Yeah, and the documentary with the Bee Gees, every one of them tried to make that level 2 or even 3 happen without the experience of other people.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it. And so it took somebody outside of them to attempt to basically threaten them on suing them if they all didn't go to a castle in Europe where there was nothing but them. And if he said, if you don't do this, we're suing every one of you, because you told us you were going to come out with another album, and you guys are flying all around partying in Miami, fucking doing all kinds of stupid shit. And we're going to isolate you and put you in this castle. And the magic happened. You know what I mean? Because now they're all sitting around going, one guy starts strumming, the other one starts tapping on the drums a little bit, and then a couple of keys on a chord. And then all of a sudden someone comes up with the next part, then the music, then the lyrics.
Yeah. No, I mean, that Get Back documentary with the Beatles too is similar, where it's like, and this is the final album that they made together, right? So you're seeing the final moment. One of the best bands is making some most iconic music that you've ever, you know the songs.
Right.
And like Let It Be, right? And so you're watching them, and in between them being in plane 2, where they're all connecting, playing on the same level, even just walking in, like there's this one scene where John Lennon shows up late and he's smoking a cigarette and he just sits down, takes his coat off, grabs the guitar. They're all already playing and he just starts playing, fits in exactly. And that's what's in the song that you hear today. To show up and automatically do that is like, hey, I'm going to be on plane 2. They walk away. All of them are fighting. You can tell that the band's about to break up. Why? Because they're in the first plane now. They're back there. They're back to reality. They're back to hating each other because they don't have enough creative control or whatever. But in that plane, they were all working together perfectly and gave us what we have now. So it's really interesting.
I totally believe this, that everyone that watches this video live or recorded, if you can just go back, whether you understand what we're saying or not, if you can just go back, you'll see other people that always experience this level of a different plane. And one of the funniest ones for me, Matt, I don't know if I've shared this story in a long time, but when I came up with the acronym for vision inspires success in others now, there was a meeting of 5 people and one of them didn't show up. And you would not believe how many acronyms we had on a whiteboard. If I was being brutally honest, there had to be 50. And none of them, when it clicks. When it clicks.
Right. It feels different. It just does if you've experienced it.
I'll give the guy a shout out. This guy, Dominic Karuba, shows up. We're in Atlanta. And he shows up late, but he's got a box of donuts. And he does have this kind of personality where if anyone was expected to be late, it was him. And he's also never in the mindset that his lateness irritates other people. Don't you guys know people that if they do something negative to you, you're going to teach them a lesson and do it back to them, and it really sucks worse because they don't care. They have no awareness that you're trying to get back at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, they just don't get it. So he comes in, gives us all donuts, interrupts the whole meeting. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Didn't say anything. You could see the irritation at everyone. And he sits down and he goes, what the hell are you guys doing? And I said, well, for the lack of vision, people perish. So we were trying to come up with an acronym of vision. And he looks up there and he goes, it's right there. He says, vision inspires success in others now. We just didn't have those words with other words in the same thing. So he sits down. I get chills when I think about it because we watched it live time. And we all went, that's it. And he's going, so what else are we doing today? He fucking had no idea of the mastermind and the struggle that he walked into.
Yeah.
And we did the work. We couldn't see the work.
That's so true. I mean, that's why it is good
I circled the words. I said, vision, what? Inspires, success, and others now. All of the words were there. He walks in with it not being pressured. Not being,
or having spent the time already, so you're frustrated.
Why can't we come up with something? Yes. This is so stupid. And then we also were in that mastermind phase where if Matt came up with something, people went, okay, but that's not it. Well, that really doesn't help the creative state because Matt thought that was the fucking best one.
And then the next person's like, well, shit, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to be under the guillotine,
And it was like, no exaggeration, probably 20 minutes that 4 of us were struggling with this. Mike Kickman was one of them. And
really?
To have this carefree guy coming in late with donuts and just going, there it is.
So not only did he might have been late, but he solved your problem and brought donuts. I mean, that's pretty great guy. I could accept the lateness.
And when he said it, all the people at the table went,
yep,
that's it.
Done.
Assignment finished, and it's like, again, that's another experience for me and value of is just understanding when you're not flowing. See, we talked about level 1 to level 2. Why is it that a majority of people that watch this video live or recorded are okay at hovering at -1 or -2. Because that's when you know it's not flowing. You know you're beating yourself up. You know you're creating unrealistic expectations. So if we become who we hang around, then the law of attraction kicks in and we start finding people that are exactly at that same level.
Right.
Hey, have you ever thought that the reason we can't market this shit is because it's overpriced? And aren't you sort of mad sometimes when we do $3.5 million in sales and then the company gives away $3.5 million, double the product, that it actually took a couple of extra days to get our product? Did you get your product yet, Matt? Did you get your product yet, Craig? So see, when you're floating around, not neutral, you got neutral. That's the point I was going to make. And instead of being in first gear or second gear, you're actually in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And you always, I can tell you guys right now, based on valuable experience, if things are not going right in your life, you are not communicating with fucking anybody. You've isolated yourself. You put yourself in a little bit of hole. If you reach out to anybody during that time, it's another person in the same fucking hole as you are. There's these statements
Yeah,
that
you're like, hello.
yeah, it's like when you're in a hole, stop fucking digging. If you're going through hell, keep going. Don't stop in hell. Just go through hell. So I always can tell when people's energy is weird because you'll see this in movies too. Why is it that there's always an evil villain, an asshole, and she's never alone? Did you guys ever notice this? If you got a negative character in a movie or a plot, they got a couple of shitheads behind them. They're using the law of attraction, and there's a bunch of people that believe in this negative asshole shit, right? Because misery loves company.
Right.
And so when you're in reverse and you're spending all your time looking in the rearview mirror, I think a lot of people must look at you and go, well, that fucker must know what he's doing. So they put their, vehicle in reverse. Now you got a whole group of people that are just going from shiny ball thing to shiny ball thing to shiny ball thing to shiny ball thing. And they just don't realize that they're fucking bringing their self with them.
Well, I think that's the hard part, right? Like if you didn't surround yourself with people that agreed with you, then you'd have to surround yourself with people that disagreed with you. And that's difficult because if you go to someone that's actually like really motivated or is doing something, I've wanted to be a film director for like as long as I've known. I've put so many barriers between me doing that. And every time I hear a successful filmmaker talk about how to do it, guess what they say? Get a camera and go start fucking filming movies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And isn't that interesting? Because for them, you might be like, well, you can make up a million excuses and you could surround yourself with people that agree with those excuses.
Right.
Studio system is the way it is. There's no amount of money. Or you could surround yourself with people that go, I shot a film myself, put it on YouTube, got 1 million hits off of it, got myself a deal. Now I'm good to go. Now I'm doing it because I'm doing it. And I think that's really what you're talking about, is that misery loves company thing is really, really true. Like it is in us to go, I'm most comfortable when people agree with me.
Right.
Now the
and
internet,
the more the merrier, of course.
Right. Yeah. The internet facilitates this and then some, because they actually will talk you into believing things as well. Right. So it's not just that, it's actual marketing, people like me going, ooh, this is a pain point that you have. I'm going to wrap the marketing around that and sell you something on how to solve this problem.
Right.
And I think that one of those interesting things is normally when you get in those groups of people, Yep, they all have the same problem you do, and there's a camaraderie in it, right? You go to an event and everyone there is dealing with the same shit, right?
You know,
Hey,
Or
Robert,
and
what do you say a lot when, you get people who jump from company to company to company to company? What's the issue with those people? Themselves.
yeah.
well, it's same with relationships, right? If someone's
Well,
been in a
you
multiple
got
failed
you got
relationships,
these
it's
women
normally
groups. I heard it one time from a woman. She said, you know, every guy that I had a relationship with abused me and cheated on me. So then what she did is she formed a group of a bunch of men haters. So this is where they all could sit around and talk about how awful men are. And she said, from doing that, this is her personal experience of me telling you, it's not, it's her experience. She said, that's when I thought, you know, I might as well be a lesbian. And she said, when I became a lesbian and then started having relationships with women, they're exactly the same as men. No, every relationship had her as the common denominator.
right. Now, isn't it interesting? Because that is kind of the way that it is. It's the truth because, like, I think reflecting on ourselves and especially putting ourselves in situations where, I've seen with my generation, like younger too, like young men nowadays, there's a reason that most self-help programs went from "you can do this," tell yourself in the mirror you can do this, to "you're a piece of shit, get up off your ass."
Yeah.
There's, for some reason, a lot of training and a lot of things, and a lot of the people that become popular, Gary Vee, even Alex, all these people, what are they saying? You're the problem.
Yeah.
Get up off your ass and do something.
Tate,
So then you have this
Tate, is that
solution.
his name? Tate?
Oh yeah, well, Andrew Tate too. Yeah, that's another one of those people that
Well, hey, if you
grew
make
even
a
bigger
couple
than the
of
other two guys I named, right? For the exact same reason. He saw a pain point. He's a marketer, saw a pain point, spoke to that pain point,
Mhm.
and sold them the stuff to become a millionaire to get the solution. Did they
Find
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 the solution?
find your
No, but
find your voice and talk to that audience.
right. But that's the thing, is if you leave yourself in that position and surround yourself with people that agree instead of putting yourself in a position to grow from it or figure out the problem, all you're doing is putting yourself in a place where someone's going to come to you and go, "I just joined this brand new program and it fixes all of our problems, dude. This
Yeah.
is it." And guess
Mhm.
what? There's someone there to sell you that, and there is a value ladder. And that value ladder is making them a lot of money. Whether it's Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, all of these people, right? They're really utilizing that pain point.
Right.
And I think that experience being a teacher is kind of like a forgotten art. Most people want to jump over, and it's not that you can't do that. It's just finding a mentor that actually has what you want.
Right.
I don't want to go to prison, so I'm not going to learn from someone who's possibly going to prison.
Mhm.
I mean, I
You
think
know,
that's the difference, right?
I heard a guy recently say this, Craig and Matthew, and you'll love this. He goes, when I was young and we knew we were going to go to a family gathering, do you know that we all mentally said there's three things that you just do not talk about? Because we knew that that would bring up, friction and different
Yeah.
viewpoints and all this stuff. So that was always, money, religion, politics.
Sex.
Politics.
Yeah.
Sex is one of those two.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so these things you just don't talk about because that forces you to talk about things that are more, in my eyes, more important than your point of view. And the guy said, so back in the day, we never talked about religion. And he goes, the older I got, the more I didn't like religion because I love the relationship with something bigger than me. I just don't like organized religion. And he said, so we don't talk about that. So what replace organized religion? Conspiracy theories. And he says,
That's funny, actually.
regardless on your conspiracy thought, you can search the internet and find a group of people that honestly believe the earth is flat. And they'll fucking kick your ass if you get around a group of them and say you're full of shit. You know, that really gets you to the point. And what I just thought was so funny is I heard this one person say something about how fast he can prove flat earth. You know what I mean? He just said, and I think I told you this, Matt. He said, well, you know how they figured out time, right? And the guy goes, how? And he says, well, this guy stuck a stick in the dirt and he noticed that the shadow moved. And so how he figured out time was he traveled to a friend's house and he said, 20, 30 miles away, and he stuck that stick in this dirt and the shadow was different. And he goes, so if you keep going around this round planet, the shadow on the stick is different. And he said, so if the world is flat, the shadow would be the same on every stick.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you go, here's another funny one. I just heard this just recently.
Please.
This guy said, I have a bunch of friends. He was a comedian. I don't remember the guy that said it, but it's like, who was one of the greatest? Carlin,
George Carlin, yeah.
And he goes, he said, I would say virtually all of the comedians I know just go off on how proud they are of being an atheist. And he goes, I'm not. So he says, I love hanging around atheists and saying, so what would you say created you? They're going, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And he goes, so when you die, what happens? Nothing. So he goes, so you return to your creator. There was nothing that made you happen. And when you die, nothing happens. And he goes, so you can't prove what you're saying, and neither can I with my beliefs. So I don't know why you're.
No, I mean, it is really, the more experience you get, and there's certain things like I've gone through a whole journey of that myself, right? Where it's like, and I know you have too, Dad, where it's like, right, where you go through and you're at certain times of your life, you're like heavily involved in a certain thought, right? Like rewind back to the last couple of elections. Did people's heads go in different directions than they are now? Absolutely, right? I expect that to happen next year too. So,
no doubt, because if you're not willing to challenge your thoughts, if you're not willing to challenge where you get information, then what's the easiest thing to do? Follow somebody else's thoughts.
Yeah, let somebody else tell you the information,
so,
right?
I always tell people, unfortunately, and I mean this, unfortunately, our planet will always seem to have more followers than leaders. And so because people are on a search to be fulfilled, to want to be happy, whatever that definition is, it's just easier to listen to somebody else that actually took the time to fucking think about it. And I think that everyone that's ever came up with any thought, because there's 460,000 registered religions in the United States, is that when you all of a sudden come up with a thought and you share it with a bunch of people and they all go, I never thought of it that way. You're now a leader. Because now you created a group of people that are in awe of your guesses. At least in science, they have a term for this. You know what I mean? It's called a hypothesis. So you look it up and it says an educated guess. So you go from science to religion and it's educated guess to this is the fucking fact. and now it allows us to go, even in my younger years when my first son was born, my ex-wife Susan was a Lutheran, and they were really, really, really strict. And because of me not having any parents that gave a shit, I didn't have one, right? So I remember sitting down. It was one of those things you're supposed to sit down with the pastor before you get married, and he's talking about all this stuff. And he's saying, well, listen, it's very important when you have a child to get them christened, right? And I'm going, well, why do they have to do this? And he says, well, what we do is the pastor, the priest, whatever, rabbi, whoever, it's like what they do is they christen that child because the child doesn't know anything. And if they don't know anything and they're not christened by a person with a nice dress on and some headgear, gotta have headgear. Gotta have headgear.
The bigger, the better.
You're nobody if you don't have headgear, right? And he said, because if we christen them, then they won't go to the middle place.
Purgatory.
And I was like, middle place? And he goes, yeah, where pets go. And I'm going, so if I don't bring my son in here for you to say some words and splash some water on him, and he dies, that whoever you're saying is the great creator just puts him in a middle place where he never gets to go to the big place because he didn't get sprinkled on with water. And he goes, I've never heard it explained that way, but yeah. I go, that's fucking bullshit. And of course, I don't have any Sunday school. I don't have anything. I don't know. It's just, and he goes, why would you say that? And I remember that, my ex-wife was, sort of like, damn, why would you say that? And I go, if there's a God, I believe that it's a loving God. And I just don't see the God that I think that's out there is going to punish infants because they just didn't know. I just refuse to believe that. And that's what we're talking about is, again, this whole concept of experience, being the most valuable teacher, because when you go through your mind and someone's teaching you something and telling you this is the way that it's done, and then all of a sudden you go, and where you feel it most? Not in your head.
It's like in your gut, right?
You feel it in your gut and in your heart. You go, damn, if that's true, that's fucking sad.
How long have I not known this?
Yeah, it's like you just sit there in your well and you're going like, really? So that's the opposite of, oh wow, I never thought about it. To you're going, come on. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the name of the podcast, right? How do you know that? Like it's really interesting because me not having a like religious upbringing similar to you, I guess, Dad.
Yeah.
We had gone to church a few times, but it was never really like forced upon me. Like I was allowed to think about it and ask questions about it.
Right.
So I think, anytime there's been experience in my life with it, I've had, just like anyone, I've had really good situations where people were like, religion made them a better version of themselves. They were caring, kind, loving. And then I found other people, just like we all know, that it did the exact opposite. Now, isn't it a surprise that these people somehow find a group of people that identify exactly with that same part of it?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, and we talked about this on the last episode. It's like the Pope can say, hey, listen, if you're a kind, loving, caring person, but you're an atheist, you'll still go to heaven. You don't need. And then everyone's like, are you kidding me? What do you mean? That can't be the case. There's no way that God all of a sudden came up with different rules where he lets just the good guys in. Right? There has to be something where I have to go through.
Then you got to explain that to the Jews and the Buddhists and the Hindus and the Jainists and everybody.
Yeah.
There's no way, like we talked, I think, on one of the other podcasts, because of a bunch of priests getting together and praying that white smoke come out. And then this is the guy, the Pope, right? And then all of a sudden he's going, oh yeah, gays can get into heaven. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think women should preach too. And it's like, wait a minute. Did we all say this guy is the Pope, or did we really pray him in? Is he really the chosen one?
False
Because this guy
prophet.
is saying some shit that's
And you
not
guys, this is how like martyrdom happens,
Mhm.
right.
right? It's an exact example of it. Is that you have old structured beliefs, old experience. And this is one thing that I find really interesting about the future, right? Like this is an interesting thing to talk about. As our lifespan over the next couple of decades drastically increases with artificial intelligence, curing certain diseases, figuring out how to reverse aging even. As these things are happening, it'll be interesting to see what transition happens in humanity because we, for our entire existence, has had the old disappear and the new come in.
Yep.
And that cycle has always happened,
Yep.
right? We only live 100 years. So every 100 years, you have a new version of humanity. And they
Right.
go, what did the old version have that we didn't like? Slavery. We don't need that anymore, right?
Mhm.
Not a good thing to have, not a way to treat people. All these different types of things. So as AI grows and we start living longer, what ideas do you think will still exist for longer and longer because that refresh hasn't happened,
Well, and
right?
not just that, Matt, but look at how quickly things change in our lifestyle, in our
Yeah.
lives. I mean, if you
Yeah.
think about the baby boomers, okay, and how much they've experienced, and then how much Gen X has experienced up to this point, and it goes like from this experience to this, to this, to this, to this, to this, to this.
Yeah, it's never been speedier than it is now.
No,
So like,
exactly.
yeah,
Well,
you
the
guys have
thing
experienced a lot, you know,
Yeah,
like I
the thing I love most right now is that this thing called the internet, and now the technology with the internet, including, people say that we're less connected now than we ever been, but we're exposed to more people more than we ever been. You know what I mean? Before the internet, Craig and I might have had 3 or 4 friends, and that's the people, including family, that you spent all your time with. It was either coworkers, couple of friends, and then family, right?
Right.
And now all of a sudden, if you want to step into it, there's so many different thoughts, opinions, choices, that people really don't know how to even decipher. Experiences taught me, you know what I mean? That
Mhm.
that I need to have a filter, and that filter is, are you listening to someone that inspires you of what they've done for others? See, there never used to be a filter in Robert Hollis's head that said what they did for others.
Mhm.
See, I would look at people, and if they were good performers, I
Right.
wanted to be a good performer. So
Mhm.
that's called the science of achievement.
Right,
All
yeah.
of a sudden, I'm focused on people that are the best achievers, and that was my competition. So it was using their ideas and working harder than them to be a super achiever. And you don't keep doing that, and you're empty, and you keep doing that and you're empty, and you keep doing that and you're empty, and you keep doing that and you're empty. Then it's like, so now you want more praise and recognition because you busted your ass when you were performing, and now you didn't get praise and recognition because you want it from other people. So then what you do is you stop producing because you realize that they don't give a shit that you're producing. Wait a minute. This was all to be for you to generate enough impact to help others. Why are you so focused on wanting people that don't give a shit about you to really tell everyone they give a shit about you?
Mhm.
It's like you give a
Yeah.
bunch of money to orphans, and you can see it make an instant difference. Instantaneous. You're seeing people that you're giving to, and the smile on their faces, and the stuff that they do, and how much you're making a difference. And it's lifetime feeling. Lifetime, when you give to somebody else and you get them a aha moment. That's what I'm addicted to. I'm
Mhm.
addicted to working my butt off to figure out things that I can share with other people for them to go, oh my God, this is simple. This is simple. I'm excited. I could do this. I can do this. That's what I want in my life. And when you're trying to get approval from people that are peers, I don't realize, Matt, you and Craig knowing me for a long time, I was hung up by not being able to have people that my peers look at me and go, wow, he's crushing me. I should listen to him. See what I mean? It's like, listen, you know, I got a lot more than these than you have. Why aren't you listening to me? And I allowed that to still my joy. Instead of focusing after the Bobby Hollises of 37 years ago that says, listen, if you can show me a path, if you open a window or a door for me, I'm fucking going to bust it down, fucking running through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be coachable. I'll do exactly what you tell me. And I want that kind of result. And so you take your eyes off the people that you felt that you wanted admiration from, that you wanted, hey, you do know more than me. And you focus on the people that give you an instantaneous reward because they value you. They value you as a teacher and they love your experience.
Oh, that's so true. And, you know, like, I know that we wanted to keep this under an hour. I don't know if that was like the greatest way to go out.
I was going to say, I got to go.
Yeah.
But that was really great. I know we were all just listening, but no, I mean, the cool thing about these podcasts is I feel like no matter what the topic is, we definitely go through and look at it from different angles or talk about different things. And there's no doubt in my mind that as we've shared these things, especially I think the last couple and this one as well, we've really gotten into, I guess, the things that really hang up a lot of people, ourselves included. And we're either sharing how they hung us up or we're sharing other people's experiences and stuff. And I just love and appreciate you guys. And I love and appreciate everyone that's watching this. Thank you guys for watching it. We'll throw it to Craig to close it out, unless if Craig, you have any last words you want to say. Those were my last words, but
the only thing that I can say, which hasn't really been said here, but it kind of has, I guess in a nutshell, is another quote that I found. Good decisions come from experience and experience comes from bad decisions.
I do have one last one.
All right,
please.
You wrap that up, Robert, and then we'll
close
it all out.
The story that I actually confirmed is true is a reporter seen Richard Branson in an airport. And so he just had his courage. He walked up to him and said, sir, can I ask you a couple of questions? He said, absolutely. Absolutely. And he says, if there was one word that defined your success, what would it be? And he goes, without a shadow of a doubt, wisdom. Wisdom. It says in the Bible that King Solomon, because he did what God wanted him to, that God rewarded him and said, I'll give you anything you want in the world. What is it? And he goes, I want more wisdom. Isn't that crazy? And in the scripture, it says, because you ask for wisdom, you will have everything you desire. And so the reporter said, so where does wisdom come from? And he said, making a lot of fucking mistakes. So, you know, you can again learn from your experiences and lessons. We talked about failures, or you can find other people that have already walked that journey and go, if I were you, I wouldn't get too close to that edge. Because a lot of people that I talked to, and I told them not to get that too lost by the edge, they're at the bottom of that ravine because they had ego. They wasn't coachable. They thought that I was trying to be an authority. And one of the things that it just brought again to me is, if you guys remember the first Karate Kid, the kid begged begged, his sensei,
Mr.
uh,
Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi. He said, "Will you teach me?" And he says, "I don't do that anymore." And he says, "Please, please, will you teach me?" And he goes, "No, I don't do that anymore." And if you watch the whole story of the Karate Kid, when he even gets mad because he doesn't believe that his mentor's teaching him anything, he believes that Mr. Miyagi is just making him a slave. He actually says it. "I'm just your freaking slave. I'm washing your car, waxing your car, painting your freaking fence, sanding the floor. I'm doing all this shit. You're not teaching me." And then he shows him. Well, then if you realize in the next Karate Kids that he meets Darth Vader. No, that's not what he's called. But he met the kids that Mr. Miyagi taught that used it for bad. So Mr. Miyagi didn't want to teach anymore because a couple of kids that he taught used everything he taught them for awful and evil. Started gangs over in Asia and was intimidating people and hurting people. And so why would he want to teach that skill to somebody else if they're going to end up being negative and use it for evil? See, he put all his thought into one person or a couple of people that he taught that did that, instead of knowing that his gift should have been for someone like the Karate Kid. So he stopped teaching people too. And I never thought about that until we just had this mastermind. So the reason that people stop teaching is because they have some bad experiences. So don't stop doing what you feel you're called to do because other people won't listen and some people do it wrong. Your legacy is going to live after you with the people that you reach out to and they finally do it the right way and they make huge impacts. I get in tears sometimes when I think about Joshua Darmella. The kid is humble, and he's not a kid. He's in his mid-30s. That kid is humble. He is gracious. He is coachable, and he's going to make a huge fucking impact. Huge impact. And it's only because he finally decided to listen to me instead of fight me for 3 years. The wisdom's the same. It's the day that you surrender and decide to listen to someone for good. So now I'm done.
Thank you, Dad. That was amazing.
Thanks.
Yes. No way to follow. Let's go ahead. Wrap
I'm like,
up.
you guys are going to be seeing clips of that. So
look out, everybody. Here it comes. And watch this again. This was an amazing podcast of How Do You Know That? You can follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. You can also follow Robert on YouTube at roberthollis.com/YouTube, on Instagram at instagram.com/official Robert Hollis, and on TikTok at tiktok.com/@real Robert Hollis. Please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and share it with others. It will help our community grow and reach those with ears that hear. Robert's schedule, Sunday through Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific, with going live every day. He gives us a taste of whatever his download happens to be that day, and he shares that with you. Then on Saturday, Ask Me Anything, where you get to ask a question of a certified mentor who has helped 67 people become millionaires. That's every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Then, of course, you have your How Do You Know That podcast, like today at 1 p.m. Pacific, every single Wednesday. On Thursday, we have the Inner Circle Breakthrough Session. Now, you do have to be part of the Inner Circle, and you can do that by clicking on that join button down below or by going to roberthollis.com/join and become part of the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle Breakthrough Sessions are every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific. Thank you. And of course, shout out to our executive producer and visionaire, Matt Hollis. Matt, bless you, my friend. Thank you so much for being our foundation right here on this channel. Of course, Robert, what can we say? What can we say? Bless you. Thank you so much for your guidance and your mentorship and your friendship. And thank you for joining us each and every time. We appreciate you and we really love you for it. And we want you to please ask that you spread the word and be a part of this amazing community. Until next time, please be good to yourselves. Be cash. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
watching.
everyone.
Thank you,
Craig.
Dad. Thank you, Craig. Love and appreciate you guys.
Love and
See the Inner
appreciate
Circle
you, man.
members tomorrow. See you guys.